gym. Old stomping grounds. Hank Patterson, fly fishing guide.
Riley Smith, tight end.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Hey, you wouldn't happen to be the kicker?
No, tight end.
Again, thank you. I'm looking for a kicker for Lithia Ford's fall kickoff sale. But you're not the kicker.
No.
Yeah. Nah, the kicker's probably taller and in a lot better shape. So, okay. What position do you play?
Tight end. Squats.
Yeah, try it sometime.
I may be retired, but I still have finances to manage. With direct deposit and automatic payments, ICCU makes it easy to spend less time banking and more time baking.
RowPaint.com, the official paint and coatings company of Boise State Athletics, is going all in this season with an all-star lineup. First up, he led the Broncos to 3 conference championships and 10 20-win seasons. It's Coach Leon Rice. Next, he's the founder and CEO of RowPaint.com. He played a little basketball in high school on the driveway with his mom. It's Andy Rowe.
Oh, no. Want to just paint my house?
Now that I can do. When I want Boise State to win, I trust Coach Rice to lead the Broncos to victory.
And when I want the best painting and garage floor coating, I trust RowPaint.com to get that job done right.
This is Bronco Nation News Live. The best interviews, the most informed opinions, the latest breaking news, all from the top Boise State insiders. Today's broadcast is coming from the Cutwater Spirits Canned Cocktail Studios. Check out one of their more than 30 flavors of pre-mixed premium cocktails at your local gas station or grocery store. Cutwater Canned Cocktails is perfect for your next game day tailgate party. Now, here's 4-time NSMA Idaho Sports Writer of the Year, BJ Rains, with another edition of Bronco Nation News Live.
Hey, how we doing, Boise State fans? Big breaking news today. Welcome on in to a special edition of Bronco Nation News Live. We are all 3 at our house here, but we had to jump on right away and get this news to you and discuss it. My name is BJ Rains. We got John Mallory, Mike Prater, host of Prater in the Ball Game, Idaho Sports Talk 3 to 6 on KTIK 95.3 FM. Our partnership with BNN. The news is official. It is out from Boise State. Andy Avalos relieved of his duties. Spencer Danielson takes over as the interim head coach for the remainder of the season. And guys, we've been hearing a lot of rumblings, a lot of things behind the scenes. I've got some news on an incident with Lou Major that I think played into this. But overall, I guess, Johnny, you're there in the middle. We'll start with you. Andy Avalos fired at Boise State. Your thoughts?
No, apologies for the setup. This is random. My lovely mother is in the background doing the dishes. Mom, I love you, but we're working today, and I haven't even showered yet, gentlemen. What news? This is crazy. And me and Prater were on the air together, less than 12 hours ago, talking about this might have been the get right game and what's going to come after this. And then obviously the news today, we are all incredibly surprised and look forward to a healthy conversation with you and obviously that guy to my right, Michael Forrest Prater. Let's get after it, guys.
Mike, your thoughts on this? By the way, I had a tweet last night that Lou Major had been fired, and my understanding is that played a part in this. I just got a text that Lou Major is already back with the team. So we'll have to wait and find out what happened, but I'll go ahead and throw this out there real quick. I had heard that there was an incident earlier this week where Lou Major went into Andy Avalos' office. There was a discussion. Andy Avalos asked Lou Major for some thoughts on the team, on what the players thought of him. I don't know exactly what it was, but Lou Major gave his honest opinion of where things stood. Sources told me that did not go well with Andy Avalos. An argument ensued, and Andy Avalos fired Lou Major. And I don't know what happened, how that plays into this, if Lou Major went and talked to Andy Avalos or Jeremiah Dicki, or what happened, but I just got a text from a player's dad that says Lou Major already back with the team. So we'll find out how that plays into all of this. Crazy times indeed right now. But Mike, I don't think anybody would have been super shocked if this happened after the season. But to happen right now after a 42-14 win, your take? You're muted, Mike. There you go.
All scrambling here, brother. Yeah.
Certainly the timing of this issue is the surprise here. I don't think the end result is a surprise at all. As a matter of fact, I think we're ultimately thinking that this was eventually going to happen. When you win by 28 points, you don't expect to get the coaches fired the next morning. But this tells you behind the scenes, two things are going on. One, Jeremiah Dicki is more serious about Boise State football than we could ever possibly have believed. This guy is more serious than nobody's ever fired a Boise State football coach in midseason. As a matter of fact, I don't think Boise State's ever even fired a football coach. In the past, it's always been mutually departed or contract departure or whatever. This is serious business. And it's also very much an indication of what's going on behind the scenes. This really doesn't have anything to do with the December 4th transfer portal or anything else. It just has everything to do with Andy Avalos and what he has with the locker room. He's apparently lost the players. He's apparently lost some of his coaches. The mess behind the locker room, the mess behind the scenes is more devastating than we ever possibly could have thought, or there's no way that Jeremiah Dickie's making this decision today.
And I came on your guys' show yesterday, I think it was yesterday or Friday, and I said that depending on who the coach was or the coaching situation, I had heard that there were other players that were considering a transfer, and there were some things at the time. You know it, you don't want to report it, you don't know how true it is. Talking to different parents, but my understanding was a good portion of the locker room, player-wise, had some issues with their head coach, and so whether that was the handling of the quarterback situation. We don't, who knows what else was going on, but my understanding was that if Andy Avalos was back, there was going to be a quote mass exodus, is the term that I heard of transfers heading out after this, and so we'll see what Jeremiah Dicki says tomorrow. He's going to speak at noon tomorrow in the Blameyer room, so Jeremiah Dicki will speak on this. I feel for Leon Rice. Big basketball game today is now a non-story almost with what's going on here on the football side. We'll see if Jeremiah Dicki is at the basketball game today. Maybe we can try to corner him and see if we can get an early comment. I don't know, but Mike, I'll stick with you here. I mean, you mentioned we thought maybe at some point, but what do you think had to have happened for this to happen after a 42-14 win last night?
Well, it's certainly the players. It's all player driven. It has to be 100% about the players. You talked about Lou Major. Maybe that's the breaking point, but I guarantee you that Andy Avalos wasn't fired because he wasn't getting along with Lou Majors, who's an important part of his staff, but certainly not that big of an important part of his staff. This is all about the players and player driven. Yesterday, when Boise State put out its list of 9 players who weren't going to play in this football game, the first thing that I said to myself, this list is growing, and I promise you, that there's at least 1 or 2 names on this list, and they're on this list not because they're injured, because they're thinking about things down the road, moving forward. There's no way that every single one of those players are injured. To me, that was a sign that there's players out there trying to figure out what to do with their future. Ashton Genty putting on a beautiful show last night on the sidelines, laughing and joking and saying that and giving us an impression that everything was all right. Maybe he tried too hard last night because nothing is all right. This locker room is a mess. It's all player driven, and Jeremiah Dickie's doing what he has to do to protect his players right now.
What do you think of the timing of it, Johnny?
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, we were talking last night as well, and I'm sure you were too. Boise State got a lot of help last night in terms of the Mountain West scoreboard, right? I mean, it was all of a sudden like you're looking, okay, now goals that they thought were gone are back. And you would have thought that maybe, if anything, last night and all that came with it could have given this team a recharge. And if anything, let Jeremiah Dicki, who was probably planning on doing this anyway, at least give him the thought to say, you know what, let's go a few more weeks. Let's at least finish this season, and maybe a spot in the Mountain West Championship game could fix a lot of those internal issues. Sometimes winning is the greatest cure ever, right? Sometimes losing is the worst medicine ever. And that wasn't the case. Jeremiah Dicki felt that this had to happen right now, and the timing is crazy. And just to think about the history, like Prater says, this has never happened in the history of this program, an in-season head coaching firing. And I've talked, and I don't know if we've done a lot of this on the air or not, but Jeremiah Dicke was kind of handed this hire. I mean, Jeremiah Dicke was on the job for a week. I was talking to someone in the profession, and they're saying an AD doesn't make a hire in 3 days. That's not the process. So he seemed to think that, Jeremiah Dicke was kind of given the gig with, hey, we really like this guy. If you like him too, let's move forward with it. And I always thought they got along, but what do I know? And I don't think this was a merit of Jeremiah Dickey's personal relationship with Andy Avalos. This is about the football program, and Jeremiah Dicke is packing the house. People are excited, and he needs the program internally to be right. And the stuff that we don't see, he needs that stuff. And obviously Jeremiah Dicke knew some stuff. I'm with Prater on the Lou Major thing, although I know Lou Major was a very respected person in that program. He goes back to the Chris Peterson era, and but I don't think Lou Major yelling at Jeremiah Dicke can get Andy Avalos fired. Maybe that was the straw that broke it. I do think, I will say this, and I think you guys will agree with me, feel horrible for Andy Avalos. Good man. I was rooting for him. I hoped it got it done. I know he's a little rough around the edges sometimes, but this is obviously a rough day for him, his family, and all that are close to him.
449 people right now, and this stream continues to grow. It is by far the largest live stream that we've ever done at Bronco Nation News. We have the graphics. We're thanking some of our sponsors. I can't leave out Cutwater Spirits, our studio sponsor. I have a new graphic, and they're not on there. So thank you to Cutwater Spirits, our studio sponsor. More than 30 flavors. Make sure you pick one up at your local gas station or grocery store. So thank you to Cutwater Spirits. And, Mike, you obviously have the historian side of this. Followed a lot of coaches here, been here a long time. You mentioned not a coach has been fired, but Andy Avalos, 22-15 will be the final record here at Boise State. You think about his legacy as a player, and now what his legacy is going to be as a Boise State alum, and it's some thought why Kellen Moore would never take this gig. If it's some thought why Chris Peterson would never come back. I mean, just the legacy that Andy Avalos had here as a player, I hate to say is tarnished, but I mean, now being fired as the head football coach, he finishes 22-15. What do you make of his 3 years here, and what is going to be the lasting legacy or what's going to be left? When we talk about Andy Avalos.
It seemed like the Andy Avalos era was always hanging on by that tree branch and desperately fighting for success. And he had some success last year. There's no doubt about that. But his first year, he didn't even play beyond November. Very much so this year, he might not even play beyond November. That's crazy to think when it comes to Boise State football, which still has 25 consecutive winning seasons, the longest in all of college football. So last year with the Mountain West, maybe he was the beneficiary of a really weak Mountain West. I know he went and won that championship, but I don't think anybody ever felt that this program was gaining traction in terms of progress in college football and gaining traction with the fan base. Andy Avalos was so beloved as a player. It blows my mind that the complete 180 that has happened with his reputation. Be careful what you look for, even like a Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore's not guaranteed to come into Boise State and have success just because he's Kellen Moore. It's a difficult job. It's a brutal job. And a group of five football job has never been more difficult than it is right now. Be careful what you root for. I don't think anybody wants to feel this way about Andy Avalos this morning. God knows they would never want to feel this way about Kellen Moore moving down the road. That's a whole other story for another time. But we all feel bad for Andy Avalos, but the football success or the lack thereof, just because they won last night by 28 points, I can see Jeremiah Dicke making the big picture move, and that's exactly what he did this morning.
Johnny, what do you make of the legacy of Andy Avalos?
Yeah, I mean, I think Prater had a tweet something. Jeremiah Dicke, I can't remember what you called him, a savage or cold-blooded or something. And big jobs like this require tough decisions. Sometimes popular, sometimes unpopular decisions. And this is the job. I say, the two most important factors of being a high-level athletic director, in my opinion, are raising money and hiring the right football coach. I think if you hit on both of those, you are going to have success. and I'm talking department wide. And that's where Jeremiah Dicke needs to go in this search. Kind of odd. I mean, here we are on another coaching search talk. Jeremiah Dicke said the search will begin immediately. So obviously all those branches to those trees, will they keep it in the family? Will Jeremiah Dicke go out? Who's on a short list of interview candidates? Even in the interim, what does Spencer Danielson make a comment on the quarterback situation? Andy always said, hey, I'm not the one calling plays. Does Spencer Danielson now say, hey, I'm the head coach, we're going with quarterback A or B, assuming possibly Maddox Madsen come back and play? There's so many things to talk about with this thing, and I can't wait to move forward with it. It's obviously an interesting topic. A lot of feelings are hurt, and I get that, but people care a lot about this program, guys, and they don't want to miss on this next hire, and I agree with Prater again. Group of 5 football is more challenging now than ever. This is no longer an easy peasy gimme. You're going to win 80% of your games just because you're the head coach of Boise State. This program needs a foundation, needs to be rebuilt in some aspects, and it needs to be rebuilt along the current landscape of Group of 5 football. Jeremiah Dicke has his goals. He felt Andy Avalos wasn't going to meet them. This program moves on, and holy shnikes.
I got a text. I'm sure you're getting a lot of text, Prater. I got a text from a well-placed booster, well-placed supporter at Boise State, and apologize for the language, but I'll just read it. Quote, Jeremiah has balls the size of Texas. Love that guy. So the boosters, the folks, I mean, I think a lot of people, Andy Avalos had a lot of supporters, Mike. The Tommy Alquist of the world, Travis Hawks, Jim Sturk, Mark Miller. When you go down the line, a lot of the guys that own some of the bigger companies, bigger things here, all really liked Andy Avalos. At the time, as you said, Johnny, I think a lot of people thought this was a great hire. Everyone thought this was kind of a home run hire and it was going to work out. I mean, I guess the simple question is, Mike, how did we get to this point?
How did we get to this point? Andy Avalos' overall vision. I've never been completely comfortable with Andy Avalos' overall vision. And Andy Avalos came in, and the number one thing that he tried to fix was the brotherhood. And maybe the brotherhood needed to be fixed a little bit after a really rough regime. Brian Harsin was not into the brotherhood. Brian Harsin was into the business of college football and just going out there and trying to do the best he can. And hopefully the byproduct would help him and helped out him and his family. Andy Avalos was all about the brotherhood and the OKGs, and that's okay. But if you don't bring in some attitude, some dudes, some football players, some ballers, I really truly believe that he was more. Kumbaya was way more important for Andy Avalos than winning championships. And I know that sounds ridiculous. That's probably not even true. But he built the foundation of this football program on the brotherhood. And that's okay to build the foundation, but then he lived off that foundation. He depended on that foundation. He didn't expand. He didn't add a bedroom here, a room there, something else there in terms of going out and getting dudes. He sucked at the transfer portal. I think he recruited soft players. And just the result here is that you have a soft defense and you have a crazy wishy-washy football team right now. And it's easy to pile on after he's been fired. And I don't want to pile on with Andy Avalos, but the brotherhood, the softness of this offense. I never saw this football team or this entire football program have an edge under Andy Avalos. And to compete in football, I don't care at what level, you have to have an edge.
And BJ, I'm gonna take what Prater said too and apply it to the game day perspective. I never thought that Andy Avalos was a game day coaching wizard. You can go back to the first game in the bounce house, UCF. There were some ill-fated timeout decisions, some other things I remember. I'd have to go back and look, and we thought, okay, that's the first game. Stuff like that is going to happen. I don't feel like it ever happened to the point where you thought, okay, Boise State out-coached that team. Oh, great call there by Avalos. Think about this. He benched Hank Bachmeier in the first quarter of the first game in Corvallis. I mean, that dude had a quick trigger with the most important position in your program, any sport considered. He was herky-majerky with the quarterback situation. And then this year, hey, it's not even me, it's Bush. I'm not calling plays. Like, he's been quick on quarterbacks, and I just thought overall game day, you can go, what was it, the 10 men on the field on a key situation, the punt return with the multiple number, simple dotting of the I's and crossing of the T's in football. I don't think Andy Avalos was a great game day coach. I'm comfortable saying that. I like him as a dude and all that, but yeah, we want to talk inside the building, but on the field too. I thought there were some issues there, and maybe that's part of the reason Jeremiah Dicke just said, you know what, on game day, this guy's not good enough for my vision. We want to get back. Boise State has been founded, and these are tough to find, and people thought they grew on trees in this town, but the genius head coach, and Boise State basically had that since what, Prater? Dirk Cutter, and they were able to pass this baton to people with new visions, new ideas, and they executed them, and it worked, and the fans bought in. I never felt that on game day with Andy Avalos, and I did even with Brian Harsin, obviously, and the other coaches.
I do have this is a letter. I'm going to put this on the screen here. A letter that Jeremiah Dicke has sent to supporters minutes ago, season ticket holders and BAA members. You can see the article on this, or the letter on the screen here. Announce my decision to make a change in the leadership of our football program. Incredibly grateful for how Coach Avalos has represented our institution, the city of Boise, and the state of Idaho as a decorated student athlete and coach. He will always be a Bronco, and I invite you to join me in wishing him and his family the best in their next steps. I won't read the whole thing, but although these decisions are never easy and directly impact our greatest strength, our people, it is my responsibility to assess the direction of our program. I must make decisions that give Boise State the best opportunity to align results with our high expectations. The necessity to ensure we are positioned for success is magnified as we seek to take advantage of the expanded college football playoff in 2024. He says he's grateful for Spencer Danielson. And then he says, in the coming days, I will appoint and lead a committee to conduct a thorough national search to find the new head coach who fits for our storied program. We will begin this process swiftly so that we can invest the time necessary to hire a coach that aligns with the values of Bronco Nation's work ethic, our standard for excellence, and who can quickly establish a winning culture. So you can read the rest of this if you're a season ticket holder. We'll get this up online as well. But I don't know, Mike, if anything stood out there or what Johnny said about the game day, but I'll just throw it back to you, Mike.
Yeah, being proactive and protecting his people. And it goes back to, protecting the staff, protecting the players, protecting this entire football program. So the proactive stuff, I don't think anybody's going to hate the proactive stuff. We all saw the train wreck that was coming with the transfer portal. December 4th is the big day. And usually when you make a decision like this, that divides the locker room even more so because everybody's curious. It's like when you found out you have a new boss, everybody starts to have these little clicks. Is the new boss going to like me? Is the new boss not? In this particular case, the locker room was already divided, and maybe this move reunites people and brings people together. I'm not going to say just because they fired a football coach, because firing a football coach is a dramatic thing. Then all of a sudden you're going to save the locker room, and Ashton Genty is like, sign me up, I'm coming back. I wouldn't connect those kinds of dots yet, but this kind of move does help smooth some things over. And if it really, really, really was that bad behind the scenes, and clearly at this point you have to say that it was, I think the timing of the move was spectacular for Jeremiah Dicke today.
Again, sometimes we know stuff and try to allude to it, whatever, but, there's a lot of players celebrating in that Blameyer football complex today. I just know it because it just, for whatever reason, I'm sure there were guys, every coach, and it's not just an Andy Avalos thing. Every head coach has players that like him, players that don't like him. It is what it is. But my understanding was that, again, the Eric McAllister move, it was probably smart of Andy Avalos to blame the NIL is the big reason why. But I was told that that was done in part to kind of send a message about his thoughts on the future of the program. Andy Avalos is head coach. And like I said earlier, the word I heard from two different people was there would be a, quote, mass exodus of players if Andy Avalos remained as head coach. So we don't know how it got to this point behind the scenes. I don't know if it was the losing, and I don't know all those details, but I mean, let's look at the facts. There's been a lot of staff turnover as well the last couple of years from some former coaches, folks I've talked to. He's not necessarily the easiest guy to work with on the staff as well. Now you have players, that have had some things, and I don't know, Mike, if this was done to try to save the roster. I mean, if I don't know if Jeremiah Dicke caught word that there might be a lot of players leaving, if it's either us or Andy, and I don't know if that came into it. I don't know if he went to meet with Andy and about some of the concerns, and it blew up, and he said, "Okay, you're out." I mean, who knows what actually happened? I'm curious tomorrow what Jeremiah Dicke is willing to say on this, but I mean, if it was as bad as it looks like it was, I mean, what a performance to win 42-14 last night. If a lot of this was really going on behind the scenes, I mean, they didn't obviously know that he was going to be canned, but they obviously were, Lou Major had been let go. And my understanding is a lot of players liked Lou. He was, as Johnny said, very well respected in the clubhouse or in the locker room. That did not sit well with a lot of players. You had players already unhappy. McAllister had already left. You mentioned the other kids sitting out, Mike. I mean, looking back at it now, I mean, that's even a more impressive win, what they were able to lock in and get that done.
I guess you could say more impressive win, or maybe that just tells you how bad New Mexico really is. They just lost in Nevada, I think, if I remember right. So New Mexico is not a good football team. One word just popped into my mind over the last couple minutes, and this is a harsh word, guys, but I think it might be where I might be getting a picture here. Andy Avalos was beloved. He was liked. I think there was a lot of other positive factors. I'm not sure Andy Avalos as a coach was ever respected. And yeah, he made a big move with Hank Bachmeier, but then he had to bring in, Dad to help save the program. I'm talking about Dirk Cutter. That's a bold move, and you got to give Andy Avalos credit for making that move. But we all know the ramifications of that. Everybody is saying that Dirk Cutter's the one that saved the season last year. Dirk Cutter did this. If it wasn't for Dirk Cutter, Taylor Green this, or the Mountain West Championship that. So Andy Avalos is respected as a player. Andy Avalos is respected as a man. Andy Avalos is respected as a family man, a wife, and a husband. But I'm not sure Andy Avalos was ever respected as a head football coach. I mean, look at the Dan Lannings of the world who just stand up on a podium and demand respect just by their presence. And I'm not sure that ever came from Andy Avalos. And every decision that he made that crumbled south and did not work out for Andy Avalos, he either had to be bailed out for help or it didn't go right and he's still trying to fix it. I think the respect word here, guys, especially if you're talking about players in the locker room, played a big role in this decision.
Yeah, and I think he tried to pull the Dan Lanning. He just couldn't get it done. And for whatever reason, his message didn't receive with his assistants and all the way down, maybe that other coaches have. And I think the big thing is, they're under 500 like this entire season, just trying to play catch up. You can, if you're going to be the jerk, you better win, right, guys? Like winning. If you're 8-2 here, obviously nothing's happening. And hey, yeah, Andy's not the easiest guy to work for, but we're winning. So shut up and keep working. Here we go. And players usually will stay more if the program is winning. When you're not winning and you're not relating to the people you need to relate to, Jeremiah Dicke didn't make a rash decision. He's been doing his due diligence on this probably for weeks, right? The few ADs I've dealt with in my career, none feel more hands-on than JD. Like, he talks about meeting with the players. Like, how about Austin Bolt's interview on the media last week? Yeah. Prater, we aired it. What did he say? 3 times in the interview? Jeremiah Dicke. He reached out. He cared. He was there. Very hands-on approach. And maybe it was the Lou Major being the straw. Maybe it was some other things. Maybe Jeremiah Dicke maybe we will eventually find out what that is. But yeah, he came to the boiling point last night. We're moving on, and you do get a head start on the search. I mean, that is the nature of the game. Now, Boise State can start looking at coaches. Jimbo Fisher was fired today. Obviously, not.
That's in the chat. No. That's in the chat that Jimbo Fisher was fired.
No,
now, Andy, Jeremiah,
I'm just meaning guys are starting to get fired. Guys are starting to lose jobs. And shortlists are now being developed. And if you have an opening, it's easier to make that call than when you don't. So the question I have, and I don't know if you guys want to go there, like, what's JD looking for? Does he have to have head coaching experience? Is he not going to be in the brotherhood? All these things are rolling around in my head right now, guys.
I talked to one former Boise State coach this morning and assistant coach, and because I had heard a lot of people say, Mike, that maybe it is time to go outside the family with this hire. And I talked to a former assistant coach and said, no, they need the brotherhood of brother. They need at this point with where the team is at, they definitely need to stay inside the family is what this assistant coach said. I don't know what that means, where they go from here. No, I wasn't talking to Mike Sanford. No, he wasn't in town to raise the flag because he was coming back as interim head coach, as everyone's talking about. But I do want to discuss that. But Mike, I want to throw the financial impact of this back at you. And we're visiting for a couple more minutes. Mike Prater, John Mallory, hosts of 95.3, The Ticket, Idaho Sports Talk, Prater in the ball game. This about $3 million buyout, right, for Andy Avalos for 2 years here. I mean, what do you make of the financial impact of the hiring here or firing?
The money's not going to be a problem. They can afford the buyout. And I put in an official request to the president's office and to the athletic department's office in the last 15 minutes for trying to track down that exact buyout number and see exactly what that is. But it's going to be roughly right around $3 million at pro rate. So you have to have, you have to kind of figure out and do some math, which certainly isn't my deal. The money thing, the $3 million is going to be easy. Jeremiah Dicke can come up with that. Changing the staff, changing the offense, changing all the assistants. A lot of these assistants, and ironically, I just asked the athletic department last week for all 10 assistant coaching contracts. And I don't know if this is weird for the timing, but they ended up in my email last night at midnight. And I've been asking for these for 2 weeks. And last night I got 10 assistant coaching contracts in my email at midnight last night. So I thought that was kind of a weird timing deal. You're going to have to eventually pay for some of those. Some of these guys are just under brand new contracts, and there's going to be buyouts there, and you're going to have to do a change of staff. So the big picture, $3 million quickly turns into $6 million, and that's where the big issue comes through. And Jeremiah Dickey's going to have to figure that out. But I've always lived, and thank God Jeremiah Dicke doesn't live this way. Never make a decision based on money. If you feel like it has to be the right decision, go out and do it, and then figure everything out later. I would imagine he has zero interest in finding $6 million, but he said, I got to make this decision, and then I'll go figure that out later.
Well, before we get out of here, I know you said it was a conversation for another day, Mike Prater, but Johnny, you brought it up. So before we get out of here, let's just, I don't know if you have an initial list of candidates or just the quality of the thing. I mean, they're going to have to make the call. I know it's going to be a no, but just to say they did, they're going to have to make the call to Kellen Moore. They're going to have to make the call to Chris Peterson. It's a 5-minute call from Marlene Tromp, and she can say she called him. It's a 0.0% chance. But I'm just saying you have to at least make the call. But, you start looking at Jeremiah Dicke and his previous coaching history and ties. I mean, he was on the search committee at Houston that hired Tom Herman. Tom Herman is now FIU, one of those schools down there. I don't know if that's an option, but that's where you also start to look. I'll say this, guys. I have no doubt, 100% confidence that when that press release comes or that report leaks on who Boise State is hiring, I have no doubt we're all going to go, damn, that's a good hire. Okay, Jeremiah Dicke, look at his track record the last couple of years. He is going to go get somebody that either A, Boise State didn't think they could, that no one thought they would get, or a surprise name, or they're going to get somebody where it's an up-and-coming guy or somebody they poached somewhere. I have no doubt. And again, let's look back. A lot of people thought of that about Andy Avalos. So, I mean, and it didn't work out. But I personally trust Jeremiah Dicke, both you guys, that whoever he hires is going to be, at least on the surface at the time, a home run hire.
Yeah, I want to know how sought after this gig's going to be. Where is this program? I mean, you want to get the program and leave it better than you found it. That wasn't the case with the last 3 years. This program is not in better shape than it was when Brian Harsin left. Where is this gig? What's it going to pay? How are they going to do that? That does come into play. The future of college football. Where's the value of the G5 gig going to be? It feels to me like this program probably was a better gig 7 years ago than it is now. Maybe not. I know there's still some stuff there. I think he goes outside the family. Just a hunch. I think this is going to be his hire. He wants to live and die with it. However, the Boise State family has some really smart coaches there. I mean, they're quality candidates, whether they're from Boise State or not, and they just happen to be so. So I'm going to have some names,
Mike Prater. Come on,
Prater.
I appreciate the conversation, but I've never been a list guy. I've never really been a list guy, and I'm still trying to process what the hell happened with Andy Avalos. So in terms of a list, I really have no idea, and I don't even want to throw out names because I need 24 hours to process this, as I would hope that Jeremiah Dicke does. Never make decisions based on emotions. That we're all so emotional right now, and if Jeremiah Dicke is sitting in his living room right now, actually, he's not. He's probably down there at the players-only meeting, or the players' meeting there at the Playmire, I would assume. But there's no way that he's sitting down today. He might have a list before. As a matter of fact, we've asked him that. Everybody has a list and a drawer. But the emotions of today, you got to get through the first 24 hours. Dude, I have no idea in terms of a name. I tend to agree with you that it's going to be a name that he's going to overreach. But I also think the brand value of Boise State is better than it's ever been. Doom and gloom, yeah, you just fired a coach. Doom and gloom, yeah, it's been a struggle the last couple of years. But, guys, it's a group of 5 sleeping giant. And for the next 2 years, the group of 5 has access to the college football playoff. 34,000 people in the stands, even when their coach is getting fired last night. Are you kidding me? What coach wouldn't want to see that? That's the ground base. 34,000 people in your stands when your football team sucks and your football coach is about to get fired. San Diego State had 12 people at its last home football game. So Boise State clearly is a very marketable group of 5 brand, and I think there's a lot of value here, and you're right. They're going to be able to get somebody that Jeremiah Dicki publicly overreached for, but in terms of a name today, I have no idea, guys.
Any chance Brian Harsin were to come back?
I don't want that. As a matter of fact, I'm
a lot of people in the chat are bringing him up. That's why I wanted to throw it out there.
Because it's easy and convenient. I don't know. I'm kind of tired of family, to be honest with you. I don't want Kirby Moore as I sit here today. I don't want anybody in the family. I'm tired of family. Look what Jeremiah Dicki did to come outside of the family and inject energy into Boise State and to give you new ideas and a new way of thinking. Boise State has been hiring within the family ever since they got Dirk Cutter and then Hawkins and Pete and Hars. And it's been great. It's been great. It's been great. But it's time to change, and I think Jeremiah Dicki's going to change. I don't think this is going to be inside the family. And I guess if you're asking me, I don't want it to be inside the family. All the family members, go away.
632 people. We're setting records here. We're like triple the highest viewership we've ever had. So we appreciate everybody for checking us out. Final thoughts, guys. It's a Sunday morning. We got a basketball game. We got football on. Again, I feel for Leon Rice. Big game today. No one's talking about it now because that'll be the talk of the buzz at Extra Mile Arena is Andy Avalos. But Johnny, we'll start with you. Just your final thoughts wrapping up the show here, and just what a crazy day.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the press conference tomorrow. I want to see what's going to happen next. We get it. Let's process this for 24 hours. Andy Avalos is no longer the head football coach of this program, coming off a big win and everything that sits with the standings. Now that focus is going to shift. And, I don't know when a target date will be. There probably isn't one. If you find your person, then you make the hire. I don't know if it needs to be before a certain amount of recruiting and whatnot. I mean, do they not go to a bowl game if they qualify with an interim Spencer Danielson? Does Jeremiah Dicki want to halt that and then just continue the search for the following year? There are some stuff that I'm curious to talk to Prater about, and you this week on Idaho Sports Talk about kind of what's next in the here and now too, because there's still a lot of football left this season, and doesn't feel like it's completely slipped away from me. And obviously, wish Andy Avalos the best.
Mike, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it's weird that we'll never have another Andy Avalos press conference, and we all liked him as a person, but everybody gets excited. I love change. There's two kinds of people, whether you like change or not, and I think change in this particular case is going to be good. I've always been an Andy Avalos supporter. I will continue to be an Andy Avalos supporter. When you have the character that he has and the dude that he is as a human being, I will always support Andy Avalos. But as a football coach, I'm shocked by the timing today. We're all shocked by the timing today. Nobody expected this. I got a golf tee time in 20 minutes that I'm not going to make because I thought we were all going to be having this kind of a safe day today, or everybody's going to go to a basketball game and check that out. But obviously it got very, very serious, and I had respect. If we use the R word for Andy Avalos, or the lack thereof in terms of the respect that he commanded as a football coach at Boise State, certainly Jeremiah Dicki has it on the complete total spectrum. That man is respected inside the city of Boise, outside the city of Boise, inside the state of Texas. I think he's going to get the job done, and change is going to make Boise State football better for it.
Big news, stunning news. We'll see what happens here. But, Andy Avalos out with a 22-15 career record. Johnny and Prater will be all over it tomorrow. Idaho Sports Talk, 3 to 6 p.m. I believe we're going to attempt at noon also to and if you guys want to jump in on this, we can talk to JP, but we'll be streaming the Jeremiah Dicki press conference at noon tomorrow on the BNN social media channels. So make sure you check back at noon. Mike, we going to get a Prater column out of you on this?
I am not going golfing, BJ. So the task at hand is to figure out what the hell happened, to take a deep breath, take the emotions out of it, and to kind of figure out what's next with this story. Massive story. Not only has Boise State never fired a football coach midseason, I'm not sure they've ever even technically fired a football coach. They've gotten rid of him. They've certainly never fired a basketball coach midseason. This is historic, and this is a big-time deal. So Andy Avalos, he didn't get the job done. Jeremiah Dicki, you got a massive job ahead of you, and I can't wait to see what happens next.
Again, you can listen 3 to 6 tomorrow. Idaho Sports Talk. Johnny and Prater, Bob, JP, the whole crew. They'll have all the audio from Jeremiah Dicke, from interim head coach Spencer Danielson, Bush Hamden. We'll get some more information on this tomorrow. There is a basketball game today. We'll have coverage for you at BNN down at Extra Mile Arena. Still going to attempt to do a pregame show. That'll be around 1 o'clock or so, 1:15. We'll get you set. We'll hear from Leon Rice for the game at 2 o'clock. We'll have the postgame show as well. So if you're one of the 654 people watching this, make sure you click that little subscribe button in the bottom corner, whether you're watching this on KTIK's YouTube channel or BNN's. We'd love to have you subscribe to both. And again, check out all of our shows. Prater, I guess 9 a.m. tomorrow, right? We're going to do this again. Maybe we'll have some more information or have a chance for you to digest this a little more. So 9 a.m. tomorrow, Prater and I will have more. And then 3 o'clock, Johnny and Prater will take you until 6 tomorrow. So appreciate everybody for checking us out. Thanks again for the record viewership. Have a great rest of your Sunday. Maybe we'll see you down at Extra Mile Arena. 2 o'clock, the Dons and the Broncos on the hardwood. But obviously the story today, Andy Avalos, and we'll have you covered at both KTIK and Bronco Nation News, bronconationnews.com.